Hello, how are you?
Good. Good to be here. Good to talk a little bit. I'm really excited to talk about this Aquarius party we've kind of dropped in on our last podcast.
Yeah, the cocktail party in Aquarius is about to hit full swing.
Yeah.
It's go big or go home here in Aquarius for Aquarius 2021 Aquarius season.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have most of the players in Aquarius right now. So I think that might be a good place to start
Okay.
of like recapping. You had dropped in our last podcast this wonderful like image of this cocktail party that is happening in Aquarius as the planets move in, as they gather at this cocktail party. And so I've been having fun it actually was yesterday, I think I started like feeling into like, oh, what would this cocktail party look like? Like who would the characters be? And so I think we can use it as a recap of like, okay, who's in Aquarius? And then we'll move in and we'll talk a little bit about, we'll go through what's happening and what we're in. But I think it's a fun way to kind of put this like imagery with what's going on. So if we feel into this idea of a cocktail party, right? So everyone's moving into Aquarius, and the person who's hosting this party is Saturn. So Saturn, his home sign is Aquarius, one of his home signs. And so he's hosting. So he was the first to move there to start the party. And he has this professor kind of vibe. Like he's super smart, knows a lot about everything, right? Has a super wise, like you want to talk to him because he knows so much. And he has this awesome beard and he's just a cool guy, like just a cool guy, right? Kind of
He's a
chill.
sexy professor.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. So that's Saturn. And also just to note, we're pulling threads because all of these archetypes have different faces that they wear, right? So this is just we're kind of having fun and kind of pulling out threads of who would be in this cocktail party. So
We're,
yeah.
we're rooting this in what this looks like here on Earth. We're taking this cosmic cocktail party and we're bringing it down.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're giving them some human qualities. Get like, okay, what would this look like to us? Okay, so that's Saturn. Then we also have Jupiter, who is the next to arrive. And Jupiter is the life of the party. He is just like, yeah, more of everything. Like we need more appetizers, more beer and wine, definitely. Turn the music up, like more music. Some of those ice sculpture things, yeah, we need those. Like just life of the party, right?
He
Like,
would also bring confetti cannons.
oh, probably, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that would be something that I can see Jupiter showing up with is more confetti cannons.
Yeah, bring it more of that. Like we need
More.
we need to make it this really right like fun party.
Mhm.
Then we had Mercury. So Mercury came, and Mercury can talk to everybody, right? He's very social and he can move and talk to everyone. So he's kind of made his rounds. And also, just to mention, we're highlighting the major players, but there are also a good number of asteroid goddesses that are also here at this party. So there's other people at this party, right, in Aquarius, but we're just kind of highlighting the more of the major planets. So anyway, Mercury he's talked to everybody. He's gone through and he's made his rounds, but he just turned retrograde, which we'll talk more about. So he's moving back through. He's revisiting all the people that he met. And he's like, that thing we talked about, like, let's go deeper into that, right? Because he can talk to anyone about anything, but he's now going back to these people and like, okay, let's revisit that thing, right?
Like, can we go deeper? Could we peel back another layer? Can you tell me more? Like, is there more? One of my favorite phrases, is there more?
Yes. Yep. Totally. So that's Mercury kind of moving back through the people he's talked to. And then we have the sun. So the sun moved in to Aquarius, came to this party. And I imagine the sun wearing this glittery, fabulous dress. Just like, we're going to light up. We're going to talk to everyone. We're here. It's Aquarius season. Like, we're going to do this thing, right? Just bringing this like fabulous energy to this cocktail party.
Yes, it
And
also feels worthwhile to say for all of you who are like, "Oh, well, the sun's masculine." Our sun is non-binary.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, the sun showed up to me wearing a glittery dress. So that,
We'll just
it
roll
just,
with it
yeah,
here. Sun
totally.
is in a glittery, fabulous dress because the sun is glittery and
Yeah,
fabulous.
yeah. Like, doesn't
Mhm.
need to explain that to anybody,
Nope.
right? That's the sun for sure. Like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this glittery dress. And then we had Venus. So Venus just moved in the beginning of February. Venus showed up to the party, and she's wearing this, I imagine it being like an emerald silky dress. And she is like, oh yeah, I will bring a case of the most luxurious wine. And I know a caterer, like they make the best food. So here, use my caterer. And oh, well, and I'll bring some decorations. Like we will make this place look amazing. Like that's Venus, right? All about luxury. She's just like, yes. And also to mention, so these are kind of like the personalities of all these characters, but why are they here? Why are they at this cocktail party? They all have these revolutionary ideas that they want to talk about. Like Aquarius is a sign of the revolutionary. So it's not just that they're at this party having a good time, which yes, they are, but they're also like, we have some revolutionary ideas. Like we have some things that like we need to talk about. We haven't had this many planets here since 1962. So like it's way overdue that we're having these revolutionary conversations. That
And
this
if
is
anybody has like any reference for what the 60s was like, I believe like the word revolution was used quite a bit,
like
wasn't it?
freedom. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the scene. This is the scene of this, cosmic cocktail party. And just feeling into like us down here as humans, like as this is going on in the cosmos, there can feel like, okay, like I know there's something going on, but I'm not quite sure because the moon hasn't showed up to the party yet. So there's a bit of like knowing things are shifting and changing, knowing there's a lot of revolutionary energy, but we can't quite, down here as our human selves, we can't quite see the full picture. So the moon is the last one to come, the last one to show up to the party. So the moon will move into Aquarius around February 9th through 11th. And the moon I see as this like badass, witchy, just awesome character who she brings her tarot cards and she's like, let's bring some magic to this party. Let's bring some magic.
Egret wants us to really bring the magic. Egret like came in here, my dog, when you're like moon and she's like, "Rawr, moon."
Yeah. Cause it's like that's when the party is really like those 2.5 days is when the party is like everyone is just gathering. They're just kind of like, it's like that pre-party vibe. Like, okay, everyone's kind of getting there, doing their thing. But when the moon moves in for those 2.5 days, that's when the party is like, yes. And it's a dark moon. It's a new moon, right? So that's why she's like this like kind of witchy character who comes with her tarot cards and like you want to hang out with her because you're like, oh, what is she gonna tell me? Like what's going on? So that for those 2.5 days, that is when like the party's in full swing, right? That's when all the 6 planets are there. Plus we have Pallas Athena, who is a major asteroid, and we have a few other asteroids. We have Parvati, Lilith, and Hecate. So there's a bunch of people, right? There's a bunch of these planets, asteroids at this party. And that period, that 2.5 day period with the new moon is when like things are in full swing.
Like the
So,
music is going, the drinks are flowing, the food is beautiful, and everybody is like, yeah, here it all is. The
yep.
moon's got her cauldron and she's like, dump all of these revolutionary ideas, everyone, in here. Because we're going to cook up, we're going to create something that's never been seen, something that's new.
I love that. Yeah, and new moons are new beginnings. So we'll go through kind of in detail because we just wanted to set the stage, right? Set the kind of picture for what's going on in Aquarius. And but yeah, it's very much that. And then also thinking about when these different players come and they like talk to each other, right? When these different things interact, because there will be certain things moving through Aquarius, like right, Mercury is moving backwards. There will be different aspects that are happening while this is all happening as well. Uranus, who's in Taurus, is squaring stuff that's happening in early Aquarius, right? So that's a year-long kind of thing of Uranus, who's the change, and he's the revolutionary energy himself. He's squaring all of this that's happening. So he's like down the block, just like, I don't know how to put that in there, but he's in the picture.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I love this cocktail party, Alexis. I would like to go. I have a dress I bought right before quarantine in March, and this dress has been waiting for this exact cocktail party. It
Yeah.
really has.
Oh, totally. Which I think is why I had so much fun, like creating it, and my like having these like images come to me, because I was like, oh, like I want to go to a party. Like I want to go
Yeah,
to this. But
and
yeah, and
there is that forward. I felt it last week. There was this sudden like forward motion, and we haven't like we're not all the way there, but we're like on our way up.
yep,
We're
we're on
like
our way
we're
up.
climbing toward it. And I just feel really excited. Like I can feel the effervescence. And that for me, new ideas, fresh outlooks. How do we meet what is now from a place that we've never been before? Because
Yes.
that's really what we're being asked to do. We can't continue to operate on old scripts.
Mhm.
I often talk to I speak about the fact that we need to work in the current present flight pattern. If a pilot got into the air with his airplane and was not listening to air traffic control, was not paying attention to what was going on in real time, and was checking out weather from last week, you are going to have a really unsuccessful flight. It is not going to work out.
Yeah. No.
What is the weather right now? What is the flight pattern right now? And that's a part of this like revolutionary idea place we're in
Mhm.
is it's sadly revolutionary to be like I'm going to be present. I'm going to be with what is right now rather than trying to predict what's coming
Mhm.
or operate on flight patterns and weather that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a super important reminder as we're moving through this energy. There's a few things to kind of just remind us of yes, we're moving up to this peak, and like we're not even there yet. But also it's a like Jupiter and Saturn are going to be there for the whole year. So there's really an unfolding over the whole year. And Saturn, who is the host of the party, he will be in Aquarius for 3 years. So really I think this is so potent because we just have so much energy like this month, right at the start. Like, okay, here we go. It's kind of this like kickoff energy, right? With that new moon, the new energy, but knowing there's an unfolding. And that can sometimes be overwhelming because we'll get pieces, there will be information we'll be getting, but also we're not going to be able to see the full picture. And that idea of like, okay, if we just can come right back into present, like that's okay. Like we know things are unfolding and we know that, there's more to come and we know we're in this big energy, but yeah, what do we do with it? And so just that being super present. I know for me, I personally have a lot going on in Aquarius. And so for anyone who has a lot in Aquarius, or if you have a fixed sign also, which is Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, who am I leaving out with it? Fixed signs.
Um
I'm like, what elements am I? Got air.
I'm
Oh,
like
fire. Leo.
Leo. Like who are we missing? We're
Yeah.
missing me. We're missing me. We're
Yeah.
missing
So if
Leo.
you
Like the
have
fire, the heart.
especially the sun or a rising sign in the fixed signs, you'll really be feeling this more. We're all going to be feeling it. But I know for me, like I know this about myself, right? Like I have a lot going on in Aquarius. I have my rising sign and my sun sign are both fixed. That I felt as soon as Venus moved in to Aquarius yesterday, I could feel it Like I could not, I needed to ground more than I've ever needed to. Like I was trying to record a video and I had to go for 2 walks. I had to like do extra grounding practice, which is not my normal. Usually I can light a candle, drop in and go. And I was like, okay, this is a good reminder that for this month, especially for me, grounding practices are going to be really important. So also to drop that in there, that I think for everybody, it's going to be really helpful to get outside, go for a walk, do some grounding practices, breath practices, movement, anything that gets you in your body is going to be really important because we're talking like high vibratory Aquarius. One of the shadow sides of Aquarius is we can be a little bit spacey or disconnected. Air is beautiful. It connects us to spirit. It is, a beautiful element, but also right when there's too much or that kind of shadow side can be that spaciness. So the grounding is going to be extra important when we feel into everything going on in Aquarius.
And like working with that grounding, Alexis, Aquarius from a body standpoint is our nervous system.
Mm.
So, how do we support our nervous system? And our nervous system is electricity. Electricity is most manageable when it's grounded. So,
Mhm.
like really plugging ourselves in, breathing, detoxifying, a lot of water, a lot of like that Venus, the luxury
Mhm.
for me is like bring it down.
Yep.
I want tea. I want fuzzy blankets. I want the fabulous red cocktail dress to go to the cocktail party. I
Yeah.
want luxury because that down regulates my nervous system. For
Mhm.
other people, that may be like you need to clean your space and have your space be very, very clean and very pristine.
Mhm.
For like each of us has our own way of dealing with down regulating our nervous system. And Aquarius is a high vibration nervous system place. So, like, bring it into your heart, breathe into your heart.
Yep.
Leo sits opposite of Aquarius, and Leo is all heart. So, like, breathe into that heart space because a revolution about love, a revolution about heart, that's that's what we're calling for. At least that's what I'm voting for.
Yeah, 100%. And that point is like, I love that you brought that in of the sign opposite of Aquarius is Leo. And so as much as we have going on in Aquarius, that also will be a theme of the polarity of it. Like to remind us of what's on the other side of Aquarius is Leo in the heart, and to like have the courage also. I feel like this is a Leo thing. Have the courage to be able to step forward, because a lot of the things that we may be asked to do to step into this revolutionary energy, to be radically ourselves, to kind of step out into that in order to get the freedom, there takes a courage. And so I think that's a beautiful, as we move through, especially this month, like reminding ourselves of the heart and Leo. And then for the year, really, because this is a big year of Aquarius. We have, I mentioned Jupiter and Saturn are there for the whole year. And we have Uranus squaring them for the whole year. So there's that. Also, the new moon we have around February 11th, we have a full moon in the sign about 6 months later. So this happens, right? We'll have the full moon, the new moon in a sign. Then 6 months later, we'll get a full moon in that same sign. So on February 11th, we have a new moon in Aquarius. In the summer, we're going to not only get one, but 2 full moons in Aquarius. We need 2 months of unfolding from this new moon, right? Usually with the cycle is we get the full moon in that sign about 6 months later, and there's this kind of culmination, this right unfolding. Well, we get two. So we get 2 full moons in Aquarius, which to me just is like, this is a year of Aquarius. Like it just is. So yeah.
Yeah, that bravery piece, just a little story. I was at a fire walk this weekend and there was an 11-year-old there and she was able to demonstrate for every single one of us there such intense and beautiful bravery because she allowed herself to very publicly be in her fear. She allowed herself to cry and express and be scared. And yes, she walked. She did a beautiful job. She walked on the fire with the rest of us, and she was scared. And when there came a piece that she had a big fear and a big no around, she listened. That is bravery. Is listening to what our personal yes is.
Mhm.
It didn't matter what everyone else in the group had done. She listened to her yes. And that was the bravery that she gifted us all with. That revolutionary listen to your yes. Brave isn't being scared and doing it anyway. Brave is being scared and staying true to yourself.
Yeah, and that's the perfect Aquarian energy of like being uniquely you. It doesn't matter, right? It's like just being you, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And it does, it takes courage, but that's the perfect example. And the other thing that was coming as you were talking about it was also um, the support of others. So Aquarius also has this energy of very humanitarian and community and that kind of piece. And so often when we're supported and we have wonderful people around us, we have the courage to step forward even more and around people who are like, you know, yes, be you. Because people can love us and they can also be like, I don't know. But to have those, you know, certain friends or tribe or whatever it is, those people that support you, because also feeling into, you know, that situation about when you were talking about the firewalk and this, there was all these people around, right, like supporting and saying like, yes, you can do this, but also like, yeah, like you have to make your decision for you, and to have those certain people. So I feel like that's another reminder too of reaching out and, you know, whether it's your community or also, you know, teachers, mentors, people that can support you so that you have, you know, that courage to step forward. Because I think that's a big piece too with the like the community piece of it.
Yeah. There's this what's coming is like, how do we be at the edge? And so like we're at the very edge of our comfort zone. That's so we're pushing into something new and we're finding a new way of being. Um, because that's revolutionary right now. Rather than continuing to sit, like allow Venus to show up and be like, hey, I've got the best caterer. And the caterer then shows up with like food that's at your edge, right? But you trust Venus.
Yeah.
You trust her and you're like, okay, we're going to give this a try, so that like that mentor, teacher, tribe, community person you can call and be like, what the fuck? Is so huge right now.
Yeah.
And being at our edge, constantly being at our edge, constantly asking, well, why do I believe that? Why do I do it that way? Why do I look at things that way? Could I look at things different?
Mhm.
Is it from my heart? Or is this some old thing that I'm carrying? Like the old thing that's done. We're done. Let that go. Set that down. Bury it. Grave. Move on.
Yeah.
You can come
Yeah.
back
And I
to it, grieve
love,
more, but leave it be. Leave it dead.
I think that's the perfect word too, that when you edge, like being on the edge of something. And that's the ask that we're being asked to, like it's not an easy thing to step into something that hasn't been before, right? Like that's very Aquarian of it's a sign of inventions. It's a sign of thinking about things that weren't before, didn't exist before. And when you're on, you know, the cutting edge of anything, and this could, you know, be within yourself, maybe in your business, maybe in relationship, maybe in any area of, that isn't a comfortable place to be. But like you said, that trust, like trusting that all of these, people at the cocktail party who are like looking down on us like, okay, like let's jump, let's do this jump, let's jump off, like, because after the new moon they're going to be like, okay, yep, let's go. And
They
can you
want us at the edge so they can push us off.
yeah, right, because you can't, if you just stay where you are, like there's no growth in that, and what your soul really wants, it can't happen, right? Because we're stuck in like, maybe we even just have a dream of like, oh, that could be the best thing, but it's actually way better than that.
Mhm.
And so there's that trust piece too, of trusting, like, okay, I'm trusting in myself, in those around me, in something bigger than me, to walk into this, because it's not going to be easy. It's going to push us. It's going to, that it's really pushing the edge of what we're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's totally pushing the edge. And if we feel back, if we look back, so many beautiful things that are now, uh, uh, when they first began the birth process, they were poo-pooed and they were pushed away. And when we can open to everything that could be, like I'm a mom, and like what comes is we're all talking so much about birth, all of us in this like community of let's raise the consciousness, like let's heal and let's find a way forward and let's renew. We keep talking about birth right now. And birth is labor, birth is work. Birth requires us to show up in ways that we had no idea we could show up. It asks us to really be moment to moment. I am just with this contraction right now. I'm just in this pain, and I'm not going to think about any pain that came before, and I'm not going to think about any pain that may come, because all that I can hold is right here, right now. And then I'm going to rest, because all I can do right now is rest.
Mhm.
And the scariest part of progress and birth, I don't like the words labor and delivery. Part of my edgy, like, let's change that. Part of progress and birth, the hardest part is transition. It is the part where I said to my midwife, I'm like, You need to stop this. I can't do this." It's the part where we say, I can't. It's too scary. I'm too tired. I don't think my body can do this. I feel like I'm going to break, like whatever it is. Transition is the scariest, hardest part. And it is the part where we just don't think we have the endurance to do any more. And when we surrender, and when we see our fear and say, "Oh, I see you and I welcome you here. I will hold you. Hold me and I will hold you." We can move into a surrender, and we can step into the claiming of our power.
Mm.
Like that was it. Like I remember finally like being out of transition, and I was like, I feel like a rock star. So moving into the surrender piece of letting it be hard, of knowing that you're not lesser if you're scared. There's nothing wrong with you if you're like, I need to curl up on the floor and cry for 2 days.
Yeah.
Bless you for being alive enough to curl up on the floor and cry for 2 days, because
Yeah.
there's joy.
And it may be feel like, two steps forward, one step back. And reminding ourselves to rest, and reminding ourselves that we're going to need time to integrate. Like I can feel myself like after all this Aquarius energy, I'm like, I'm going to need like to take a week off. Like I'm just going to need some time to just integrate. And that is a message throughout, but especially in this, like what we're being asked in the time we're in right now is, yeah, like it might look right. Like it's not going to just be a straight shot to the, not that there's ever an end, but it's not going to just be like an A to B. It's going to be an A, maybe we go back a little bit, maybe we zigzag over here, maybe we make a pit stop at like A point 1, 2, 3, like it's gonna be all over the place. And being okay with that, like listening to like, okay, what do I need? What do I need? And when you were talking too about that transition and facing our fear, what came up was the energy of there's a conjunct the new moon on the 11th is Pallas, who is warrior energy. And she is a feminine warrior, right? So bringing her in, she's going to be a part of that new moon. The new moon is going to be right on top of her. And she was one of the first to move into Aquarius.
I think she was of that like Capricorn.
She was.
The Capricorn cocktail party that happened in 2020.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a cocktail. That was something else. I don't know what that was. But it definitely was a gathering of sorts. It definitely was. Like if you look at a chart this time last year, like lots of people in Capricorn. Yeah, we'll have to think about like what to call that one because I don't know what that was.
It's not a cocktail party. Obviously, I am deprived of humans right now. Everything's a cocktail party.
It was a gathering though. It was a gathering. I just don't know what kind of, it was not a cocktail party. But yes, and so Pallas moved into Aquarius first, and she is feminine wisdom. She's the warrior energy, but she also is like has this wisdom and strategy, but it's feminine, right? So if we feel into the masculine, warrior is about taking action, right? And so her energy to me is about this feminine wisdom. And to bring that in with the new moon, it also does, she has the energy of warrior. And so that archetype is getting kind of highlighted for this new moon.
Yeah, which is beautiful that like I will stand for this.
Yeah.
Like warrior for me is so the I will stand.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
this is what I believe in and I will hold to it.
Yeah. And to face our own fears within, right? And to trust in that there's a higher wisdom coming through with this, right? And we feel into Pallas in Aquarius, there's a feminine wisdom that is revolutionary and new. Mm-hmm. And so she is helping us to step into that warrior energy, to have that courage, right? Going back to courage, to face the fears, to face all of the things. Like she is very much a part of this energy as a whole. And then to have her conjunct the new moon, yeah, it feels really like a supportive energy.
Yeah.
To have there.
Yeah. For as wild and as jam-packed as this Aquarius season is, for how many celebrities are at this cocktail party, there is there's just so much like nervous system, heart.
Yeah.
Nervous system, heart. Bring it down. Just keep bringing it down.
Yeah. And I can feel even just as we're talking about it, I can feel myself doing that. Like, okay, going into the heart, grounding, like taking a breath. It's like louder than it ever was for me. I can feel the need for it. And so then right after the new moon, we have our first Saturn square Uranus aspect. So this is something that they have been in a square, right? Like they've been moving into this aspect of a square. So we've been feeling it. We can feel this has been happening, but they're going to hit an exact square on February 17th, around the 17th. So just after the new moon. And this is Uranus kind of bringing this spark, this lightning bolt of insider information. Now, knowing that this is the first of 3. So we get this spark after the new moon, and then we'll get another Saturn square Uranus in June, and then another one in December, the end of 2021. So knowing that this is just the first of 3, but it feels significant to pull that, we talked about Uranus a little bit in the beginning, to pull that in of like just after this cocktail party will be this aspect that feels pretty significant, especially because it's going to be unfolding over the year. And Uranus is the great awakener. He is revolutionary himself. He is about change. And he's about change to help us move into our like highest potential.
Yeah, I recently heard someone say that Uranus is Prometheus, like the bringer of fire, which when you feel into like the awakening of having fire, like yes, very much like the bringer of fire, the bringer of what can be new and how do we use it for its highest good. Like it is a season of really being in like the test of highest good.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we can feel into all the Aquarius, kind of high voltage energy we're going to be in,
Mhm.
and then we get this aspect, the more that we can be in this curiosity place, the more we can be in our heart, the more we can surrender to that which is in the highest good, the I don't want to say easier, but the maybe gentler or the more grace-filled way that this information can come in, because it is in our highest good. Like it is from soul. It's not just to like, make us all crazy for the year. There's purpose behind it. But if the more we can do leading up to that point to get us to the point of like, okay, I understand there's change happening. And you mentioned it before, of working through the fears that come up, right? Not just saying like fear go away, of the fear, I see you. Fear, like, let's sit down and talk about this. Let me, um, kind of, there's different ways of dealing with our fear, right? We can befriend our fear. We can, um, use different ways to transform our fear. And so that the more we can do of that, I think by the time we get to this Saturn square Uranus aspect,
Mhm.
that the more we'll at least be able to accept it. Because who knows? That's the thing. Uranus brings the unexpected. Like we never know what's going to happen with Uranus. And with Saturn being there for 3 years, like you can look at whatever house Aquarius is for you. That's an area that is going to be going through a lot of change and a lot of this, revolution over the next 3 years with Saturn, because Saturn really wants to bring things into being, into reality. And so if you feel into that first hit of like, okay, here's some big information, and we're already gathering pieces because they are squaring each other now. We're already kind of getting some pieces, getting some insights, but that date is going to be, the exact square. So in and around that date, just to feel into, the more we can trust it and the more we can surrender into it, that the better it will be.
Yeah, it feels delicious and I am someone that has like really learned to embrace shifting and dancing and going with it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's kind of the name of the game for 2021. Like, if you weren't like that before, maybe you will learn to be, because I think the more we can be flexible and learn to shift and change, like that's part of the message of Aquarius. And so wherever, anyone is at, it's just going to push your buttons and what it needs to push for you, right? And so it's going to look very different for me than how it looks for you, than how it looks for anybody else. But it's going to be, if we go back to that, pushing the edge of what's comfortable for you into the idea of, accepting change, and this idea of being able to look at things from a new perspective and not get stuck in the old just because that was the way it's going to be. So it's of course going to look different for everybody, and it's going to push, just enough, just as much as it needs to push for you.
I'm super, super excited and everything just feels like there's so much potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of stuff dying off right now. And it feels like that which is needing to leave and die and move through the death stage of this to make room for the birth is that which is not changing, is that which can't find its edge and then learn to expand that edge.
Mhm.
Those are the things that are hasta la bye-bye, baby.
Yeah. And if we can hold on to the potential of what things could be, because we have no idea what even could be, right? And not getting like attached to
Don't
anything,
get attached to an outcome.
but just feeling into the potential,
Mhm.
like that feels like some kind of light at the end of the tunnel, right? Of the potential of what is to come.
Beautiful. I love it. I think we should end on the potential and
Yeah,
at the end of the tunnel today.
right, because that's right. That's going to bring us, so that February 17th is right at the end of Aquarius season, because then on February 18th, the sun moves into Pisces.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more happening. There's a lot more aspects. I think we just wanted to kind of focus on some of the big stuff. The new moon is a big one. And just, I love this cocktail party kind of
Totally.
scene that we have set. But yeah, that's pretty much going to bring us through Aquarius season, and then it's into Pisces season, jumping into
I
the
mean, we
unknown.
could very honestly do an Aquarius season part 3, but
I know, I know, because there's a
we
lot
could spend
happening.
an entire, like, session just on the fact that Jupiter and, Venus are gonna be conjuncting with Parvati, like, on the new
On
moon.
the new moon, yes.
We could do a whole 'nother and we might.
We might, because there is a lot happening. There's, Mercury starting a new cycle. Yeah, there's lots of stuff. And so I think, yeah, we'll leave it at this. We'll leave it at, kind of feeling into this cocktail party on the new moon. And yeah, I think we'll just leave it at that, and we'll see. There may be a part 3, or maybe we'll wait till Pisces season and just see what happens, and we'll have lots of stories to tell about this cocktail party and how it showed up in our lives.
Totally. Perfect. I love this. I love you. Thank you for everyone that is listening. Leave us 5 stars on iTunes podcasts. We
Yeah.
love all
Yep.
your little reviews. We're
If
super
you're listening
excited
on
that this is
Apple,
amazing.
yeah, and you like what you're hearing,
Mhm.
totally drop us some 5 stars. We'd love
Yeah,
that.
drop us
We would
star.
appreciate
Drop
it.
us questions. And yeah, keep the love coming. We love the love.
Yeah. Yeah. We love to hear what you think about you know, we just love to talk. Like, we could just talk all day, honestly. So when we get feedback that people are like, oh, we're like, okay, I guess we should keep I guess we should keep talking.
All right. Until next time, big love.
Big love. Bye.
Bye.